All right, yes, so welcome everybody. Very happy to have the opportunity here today to tell you all a little bit more about Hutong School, which is one of the leading private Chinese institutes in China and actually with a lot of locations around the world as well. So first, a few quick words about myself. I'm one of the co-founders of Hutong School, which is a project that we started back in 2005. I was born and raised in Flanders, Belgium, where I studied economics first, but actually my interest already from high school already was learning Chinese. So after that, I decided to get started with learning Chinese. I first went to Wuhan, which was a city, of course, back then, talking about 20 years ago, nobody had heard about. That's a little bit different nowadays. Later, I moved on to Xiamen to study a little bit more there. And then finally, I studied another semester in Shanghai before actually setting up Hutong School. And currently I'm the managing director of Hutong School, so I oversee all the operations that we have both in China as well as different cities around the world. Now, a few words about Hutong School itself. So as I mentioned, we were founded in 2005. We actually started in Beijing in a little alley, which is called a Hutong, which most of you know probably. And that's obviously where we got the name from. So originally we were based in a traditional Chinese courtyard in the Beijing Hutongs, and that's from where we further expanded to different locations across the world. Currently we have 14 schools worldwide, including 7 in China, and I'll mention which cities later on when I talk more specifically about the programs that we offer. And we offer programs. The 2 flagship programs is the intensive Chinese program and the internship program. We have some other programs as well, like a summer program, a family program, more specific trips on specific sectors like IT or hospitality and so on. But I'm not going to talk about those during this presentation. I'll focus purely on the intensive Chinese and the internship program. And furthermore, we also developed our in-house teaching methodology and our own textbooks, which we've developed not from the beginning, but only after, I would say, about 8 years of experience teaching foreign students Chinese, that we thought, okay, now with this experience, it's time to put this actually in writing and consolidate all our knowledge on the best way to learn Chinese in our own textbook series. So the intensive Chinese program, a quick rundown of what this program is about. So first, well, the cities where you can take it, you see them here: Beijing, Shanghai, Hangzhou, Chengdu, Zhengzhou, and Chongqing. Obviously, most people choose for Beijing and Shanghai to get started. And then I would say more expert learners would move on to Hangzhou, Chengdu, Zhengzhou, or Chongqing to actually put their Chinese really into practice in those cities that are, let's say, more overwhelmingly Chinese than Beijing and Shanghai are. I would say for a starter, it's recommended to choose Beijing and Shanghai because it's a little bit easier to sort of get used to the country. And also the fact that you don't speak much Chinese yet makes it a little bit easier. If then right away you start in a place like Zhengzhou, for example, you might find it very tough. And it's not necessarily helpful that you have a 100% Chinese environment if your own level is still beginner. I mean, you need a break from time to time from Chinese. So that's why I think Beijing and Shanghai offer quite good environments to get started. What we offer is the classical formula, 4 hours a day, 5 days a week. So that's 20 hours a week. Apart from that, you can also take some tutoring sessions in the afternoon, which are free. You simply need to book them with the available teachers. And we also have a lot of online support that I'm going to talk about later on. The length of this program is anywhere between 1 week to 12 months. So it's really up to you to see how much time you can free up to learn Chinese. And I'll show you in a moment how far you can get also, depending on your choice. I would say most people would choose this program for a semester. So starting in September, October, all the way till Christmas or Chinese New Year, or starting in February all the way till summer. But there's also people who choose a shorter course in summer, for example, 1 or 2 months to get their Chinese to a next level intensively during the summer months, or simply also other holidays during the year. Any 2 or 3 week period you have, I think, can be very useful to improve your Chinese level. And what's specific about our program is that we really try to tailor it to the students' level and aims. So we work with very small groups. And there's a lot of flexibility in terms of how we teach and the things you want to learn, especially when you move on to the HSK4 level and become an intermediate speaker. And I'm going to show that in a moment on our level chart. Next to the classes, we also offer a broad range of cultural activities and excursions. We actually have about 2 or 3 activities every week. The aim of that is twofold. I think on the one hand, it's great to learn a lot about China, different aspects of China through these activities. On the other hand, it's also a great way of building up your social network and getting to know the other people at the school. So highly recommended to join all these activities as well. Now, a quick word about our level system. Now, this is a lot of information in one slide, and we're a little bit short on time, so I won't go through it in detail. But basically, as you can see, we defined 12 levels ourselves, which is more than the 6 official levels that exist currently for HSK, although that will be reformed as well. This we break down in 3 big blocks, which you can see here. There's the foundation phase, all the way to HSK3. Then there's the intermediate stage where the goal is really to become proficient. And then there's HSK 5 and 6 that are really about reaching perfection. Now, if you're an absolute beginner or you had some basic learning, basic studying already, then I would say your first goal should be to get to HSK 3 so that you cover all the basics, all the foundation, and then next HSK 4. Now, whether you continue or not after HSK4 depends a bit on yourself. I would say that if you reach HSK4, you really can start using Mandarin in a professional context, in daily life, in all situations. And so that's actually the useful level. If you want to specialize further, because, for example, you want to be able also to translate, or you want to read newspaper articles, you want to understand the TV news, then it can be very useful to move on also to HSK 5 and 6. But you will have to spend a bit more time on it. So to get from HSK from 0 all the way to HSK 4 and reach that level of proficiency, you need maximum 8 months, but actually some students do it in 5 months as well. I would say if you can free up 1 year of your life, and if you're all young people, I think, you know, that's a rather small sacrifice. It's a small investment from which you will be able to benefit for the rest of your life. But invest 1 year of your life in learning Chinese and you will reach a level that you can use for the rest of your life. Because the risk is a little bit, if you only learn beginner Chinese here or elementary, that if then you don't use it for 1 or 2 years, you actually forget it again. Whereas if you reach this proficiency level, HSK 4, then you really acquire a level that you won't forget ever again. Now, something specific about our method, which is very different from what universities do, is that we make a very clear separation between the speaking part and the reading part by introducing the characters only very gradually. So you see here in HSK 1, 2, and 3, characters are not that important yet, and they become only very important here from HSK 4 onwards, because then you start learning so many words that have similar or even identical pronunciation. And so if you don't understand the characters that lie behind it, it will limit your understanding. However, from HSK 1 to 3, it's actually perfectly possible to learn Chinese without characters. Now, saying that, Chinese people feel very shocked when I say something like that, because obviously that's not the way they learn Chinese. And it's also not the way I learned Chinese at university, because all my university professors thought that didn't make sense. But it makes a lot of sense, actually. And if you include all the characters from the beginning, you're actually creating a lot of obstacles for people to learn Chinese, whereas you can actually progress in spoken Chinese very quickly because it has the easiest grammar in the world. So that's why we really focus on opinion and character recognition in the beginning, and the actual writing only follows by the end of HSK 3, going into HSK 4, that's when writing becomes important. Now, I could talk a lot longer about this, but we're a little bit short for time, so I'll move on to the next program now, which is our internship program. So that's the second flagship program that we offer. The internship program is available in a vast range of cities, as you can see here as well. Obviously, if you don't speak Chinese yet, again, Beijing and Shanghai are recommended, because there it's a lot easier to find companies, both international and Chinese, where you have sufficient staff that speaks also English. If you move on to those second-tier cities, then it's very important that you have, I would say, an intermediate level of Chinese already. You can get experience, professional experience in any sector of your choice. So we have a very broad range of sectors available, from anywhere from the more classic business areas like marketing, sales, consulting, and so on, but also more specific areas like people who study law or IT or engineering and so on. We can get you a tailored experience that matches your what you're looking for. This program comes with 4 hours a week of Chinese classes as well. So obviously less intensive than the actual Chinese program, but 4 hours a week still allows you to get the basics that you can use then in daily life, and maybe is something that also gives you a taste of Chinese language that you then decide later on you wanna learn more about that. The length of this program is about 1 to 6 months. Ideally, I would say an internship is ideally 3 months, because for 1 month it's a little bit short for a company also to invest in you. Whereas if they know that you're going to be around for at least 3 months, then of course in the beginning they will give you a lot more training as well, because they feel this is well based on the time that you're going to spend there. 6 months is even better. If it's longer than 6 months, obviously the company should simply offer you a job instead of having you as an intern permanently. Now, why an internship in China can be a really good idea to get started in China, because this gives you the opportunity to build up a network, which can be very useful later on to find an actual job, because China still functions a lot by guanxi, by relations. And so building up that network is really important. But if you're just a student, let's say, if you don't have that professional identity yet, that's a little bit harder. Whereas if you're an intern, you can join all kinds of networking events and you have that first professional identity. You have that first experience on your CV in China, and that will really be valuable for future employers. Then next to these 2 flagship programs, I want to give you a little bit of information also about our online offer, which obviously we've been developing already before COVID-19, but we've accelerated a lot since then. So there's basically 2 ways in which you can learn Chinese online through Hutong School. One is through our Zoom group classes, and the other one is through our Hutong School app, which you can also download for free on iOS and Android. The app also contains a lot of free self-paced content and exercises. So I would say just download it, depending on your level, select the right content for you and start practicing. And I think this can be really useful just to do 10-15 minutes a day to stay up to speed with your Chinese. The flexible schedule, of course, for the private classes. So on the app, you can simply select your preferred time slot. Then based on that, teachers will go up that preferences and you can get started. Now, why choose us to wrap up? There's a few reasons. I can only list 5 here. Let me see. Yeah, first, so we've been around for 15 years. That makes us one of the oldest Mandarin schools around in China, because before 2005, those schools simply didn't exist. And the only option really was to go study at university, which, as I mentioned, has a few drawbacks, because you're often far out of the city. You're learning in big groups, and there's not a lot of tailoring depending on your own level and your interests. Second reason to choose Hutong School is that there's this broad range of programs. So you can perfectly start with the internship program and then move on to intensive Chinese program, or the other way around. You can also have flexible periods. So you can come, let's say, a few weeks during Easter holiday, then you continue during the summer holiday. In between, you continue learning online. So we can be with you all the way on your journey of becoming proficient in Mandarin. A third reason is that we have a very experienced and trained team of certified teachers who, of course, all trained in our own proprietary Hutong School methodology, which I think is much more fast or much more efficient than the classical method that is being used at universities. And we have an alumni community of more than 5,000 satisfied students, through which you can, of course, get in touch with them as well through LinkedIn, and those can be valuable connections as well for developing your future career, which is also something that we care a lot about at Hutong School, because learning Mandarin by itself is incredibly interesting, incredibly rewarding. But of course, it's even better if you can also then use it professionally in the future, and use that skill that you worked so hard to acquire to actually earn some money as well at some point. And a final reason is that we have a lot of university partnerships around the world as well, which shows that we are a trusted partner for them, not only for the intensive Chinese program, but also for the internship program. So thank you very much. If you want more information about Hutong School, obviously you can get in touch with China Admissions. You can have a look on our website as well, of course, if you want some more information. But China Admissions is, of course, the right channel then to sign up for our programs. So thank you very much. Thank you also, Nadia, for this invitation. It was my pleasure being here. And I hope everybody in the audience that you learned a little bit more about Hutong School, and that I got you excited about starting to learn Chinese. Thank you.